Without further ado, I'm so glad you could join us today. We'll be discussing our PhD in Counselor Education and Supervision, or CES, program here at Palo Alto University. Your hosts include me, I'm Krista Kaur, I'm the program manager, and I'm joined today by Dr. Margaret Lamar, who is the associate professor here at PAU and associate department chair and CES program director who's been working on this program for several years, and I'm so excited that we both get to tell you more about it. Take it away, Margaret, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. I was navigating to all of our notes to just see what I needed to say. So we're so excited to offer this program. We've been working on this program for a really long time, and we're excited to launch it. A lot of thought and effort and intention has gone into this, and thinking about, what are the kinds of things that we need to know as counselor educators. What are the things that I use in my daily life, the things that are my colleagues are using in their daily lives to train the next generation of counselors and supervise them. And so,
Sorry.
thank you. Nope, you're good. So we are so excited to be interviewing and starting our very first cohort in the fall. You can see our mission statement there. We really are interested in, having this be an experience where I guess one thing that I say a lot is, we really need to be training counselors for the future. The counselors I'm training today are going to be, most likely, many of them are still going to be working in, say, 2050. And, what does counseling look like in 30 years? So, how are we then training the next generation of educators to train students and train counselors for the future? And so there's a lot of pieces that go into that, which we'll get into a little bit more detail, but certainly thinking about culturally affirming counselor educators is a really important part of PAU, our program and department mission statement already, and then really training leaders to move our profession into the future through anti-oppressive pedagogy, scholarship, supervision, advocacy, and practice. Okay, I think I'm ready for the next slide. All right, so who should apply? There are lots of things you can do with a degree in counselor education and supervision. So if you're out in the field and you're already working as a licensed professional counselor, and maybe you're ready to come back and you want to join, higher education and train folks as a faculty member, maybe you want to, move up into leadership at your organization, at your agency, and this would be a way to do that, to really get specific training around supervision, to get specific training about doing research so that then you can do program evaluation within your organization. You do not have to be licensed, though. That's really important to know, that we are also a place for, if you just graduated from a counseling program, or you're going to graduate in June or in August, then you are also welcome to apply. We are looking for graduates of CACREP accredited counseling programs. If you're not in a CACREP accredited counseling program, reach out to us because we have some flexibility with that. I know we've got folks who are interested in, they are school counselors already, and again, wanting to elevate their practice, wanting to come back and train folks in a college or university setting, or again, move up in administration within a school district. That's certainly a big piece of that. Marriage and family counselors, we know we've got a lot of you in California, so we're really excited to welcome you. And then, again, folks that are working on your licensing hours, or postgraduate counselors who maybe you're not quite there yet. So lots of different options. You don't have to be licensed, but it's you could actually work on your license hours while you're in our program.
And are you a good fit for our CS program? So what we're looking at in broad strokes are you collaborative and eager to learn? Are you in alignment with our mission and our values? And, please keep in mind that you don't need to already be a researcher, published author, or a teacher. We're going to help you develop these skills So ultimately, we're looking for our future colleagues. Oh, I think I skipped. There we go. Learning locations. So this program occurs both in person and online. So this program is designed for working professionals. So, plan on attending class 1 to 2 days a week, that some will be online, some will be in person. As for our learning locations, Palo Alto University has 2 campuses. We will primarily be at the Mountain View campus. That's where a lot of the counseling departments, faculty, and our counseling center and classes are held, and it will also be online over Zoom. So just keep in mind that you will need to commute to our campus about 1 to 2 days a week.
So we are really excited for our students to get to meet our faculty. These are just a few of us here. Dr. Donna Shapiris is our department chair. She's also in charge of our e-clinic and is doing some really cool work in her research. And I didn't introduce myself. I'm Margaret Lamar. I'm an associate professor. I guess, Krista, you introduced me, but and then we have also Dr. Darlene Chen. She is the associate department chair for the master's program in clinical mental health counseling. And then we have Sarah Everly, who's our department manager. And then I think this next slide is a picture of our faculty. We have a really diverse faculty and staff with differing interests in research, different approaches to research, different clinical backgrounds. So there's it's like something for everybody. People who utilize different research methodologies, and folks just, again, doing looking at different kinds of topics, and lots of different teaching interests. So there's a wide variety of faculty to work with and learn from, either from their research, their supervision style, their teaching style, their clinical work. We are excited for you to get to meet all of them. We are, as a faculty and as a department, really committed to prioritizing your personal wellness as a student. We know that all of you are, working adult humans with families and friends and things going on in your life. We want to be part of that experience. We're not trying to take over your life. So we know a doc program is a commitment, but we're also really we really value students being able to maintain some, I don't like the word balance, but sort of be able to maintain their wellness while they're here. We're also, because there's so many of us and doing different things, we're super excited to be able to help you tailor the flexible parts of our program. So we have an internship experience that can really help you is a great opportunity to tailor your experience and to focus on the things that you really want to do and the things that match with your career interests and outcomes. And then also, we're just really excited to mentor folks and work closely with each of you to facilitate your development as a counselor educator and a supervisor. And we're looking forward to having different opportunities to do that in our program.
Our coursework for the program is designed to be completed in 3 years, and it's designed for working professionals. So you can certainly have a job and do this too. That's exactly what the program is designed for. Some of our, current candidates and applicants are working counselors or school counselors, but we also make room at Palo Alto University for job opportunities. So if that's something that appeals to you, we'll have graduate assistantships, teaching assistantships, as well as the opportunity to become an adjunct faculty member. Please know that our schedule will be for class 1 to 2 days a week. And at this time, the program does not allow for part-time students. If you have any concerns about the schedule, feel free to reach out, and that's something that we can talk about with you. And so looking at doc student life at a glance, class 1 to 2 days a week, those classes take place during daytime hours. At least one of our classes per term will be in person, and there will also be online components. You can expect to co-teach, which would occur evenings, Monday through Thursday. and other independent meetings. So meeting with your faculty lab once a week, supervision for internship, meeting with the faculty chair for academic and professional planning. And as I mentioned, if it's something that you'd like to pursue with us, we will have opportunities for adjunct teaching, graduate assistantships, and other campus employment.
So I'll talk a little bit about our coursework. So you can see these are our core areas: teaching, supervision, counseling, leadership and advocacy, and research and scholarship. So this degree is really meant to take you to the next level. So the master's level degree is really focused solely on clinical work and getting you to be a proficient and effective clinician out in the community. And this really adds to that. And so, again, we're really focusing on how can we train you to be a good educator and teach students about multicultural counseling and assessment and lifespan development theory, all of those classes that you took in your master's program. This is where you get to learn about the ways that humans learn, the ways that adults learn, and help you kind of develop your own style and approach to teaching. Same thing with supervision. There's a lot of research and work around supervision theory and approaches to supervision that we'll dive into. We have some component of diving into sort of advanced level counseling. And so we have some coursework on that, and then an internship experience focused on that. Leadership and advocacy is a huge component of, moving up in the profession, whether you're a leader in your organization, you're a leader in a professional organization. There's lots of ways to think about leadership and, and sort of the nitty-gritty side of leadership. How do you develop coursework? How do you assess whether your program is effective? And then the research and scholarship piece is also a big component. So you probably remember that one research class you had in your master's program. And if you came here, it might have been me who taught you. And this really our program is designed to help you become an independent researcher and to do the kinds of research that you would do out in the world as a faculty member or as a agency director. If I was at home, I'm at a conference, if you're just joining, if I was at home, I would pull out my big, thick 300 and some odd page dissertation and tell you that my doing that dissertation has not helped me write any other dissertations. It certainly has not helped me write articles, because writing a 300-page document that then from one study that then actually when you submit to a journal, they really don't want it to be more than 25 or 30 pages. That's a very different style of writing. And so we are using a multiple article dissertation approach. And what we will be doing, and you'll be working with our faculty on from the moment you get here, is learning how to engage in the research process, learning how to write articles, learning how to collect data, do qualitative interviews or create surveys, learning how to analyze that data, and then writing it up, and also thinking about your research agenda throughout your life, right? So where do you see, how do you develop studies that lead to another study, right? Because that's the work that we do in education and in counseling, is we have a research agenda that lasts through our life. So, that focus on like one big dissertation often then leaves people like, oh, well, I'm really sick of this topic and I got to think of another way to move it down the line. That's what we're going to do from the very beginning. And we'll be talking about that throughout your time here. And that multiple article dissertation, hopefully you'll walk out of our program with at least 2 published articles and another study ready to go that you can start working on when you're on your own and independent. Another component of our program is an applied practice. So we have an internship experience. It's very different from the master's level internship experience in that it is in all of these areas. So teaching, supervision, counseling, leadership, and research. So you're going to have experiences working in a research lab. You're going to have experiences co-teaching with our faculty. All of those things are part of the internship experience. So it's really, again, kind of built into the program. I think that's probably it for me. I will say the piece about accreditation is really important. We wanted to address that. Our program is accredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. That's the group that, accredits everyone from us to, UC Berkeley, UCLA, those kinds of places. They're doing sort of university-wide accreditation. Our CES program was designed to be in alignment with CACREP accreditation standards. We have a couple of pretty great experts, CACREP experts, who are on our faculty and lead our CACREP accreditation efforts. And so we are in alignment with the doctoral standards for CACREP. We're actually not eligible to apply for CACREP accreditation until we have students entering the dissertation phase of the program, which will happen in the second year. So the second year of our program, we'll be able to start applying for CACREP accreditation, and we will as soon as we're eligible. CACREP accreditation backdates. Once you get it, it backdates 18 months. So if if we got CACREP accreditation this month, we would be able to go back to, it'd be 2022, the August graduation of 2022. Everybody who has graduated from that point on has their degree becomes CACREP accredited. So we feel very confident about being able to get that. We have a long history with getting a lot of great feedback from CACREP about our program.
Margaret, we have a question in the chat of, would we as students have the chance to get involved in the accreditation process as part of our internship and work with PAU's CACREP experts?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, we hope to be able to have some internship experience where you can learn the process of doing accreditation, because again, that's kind of the nitty-gritty stuff that we do. And whether you're being accredited by our CACREP organization, or you're being audited in other kinds of ways for various entities, it's important to be able to learn how to do that. It's a lot of assessment and showing your work and showing how you're meeting the goals that you set out. And so it has applicability beyond accreditation, and it's a really good training ground to learn how to do a lot of that work. Great question.
So taking a look at degree application. So once you graduated, what can you do with our degree? How can it support you on your journey? So some examples here are graduate level teaching and counselor preparation, mental health through research, counseling supervision, as well as organizational leadership in professional organizations, community agencies, K through 12 settings, higher education settings. We actually just had our first round of, candidate interviews last week, and I was so impressed and humbled by what our applicants are interested in doing. It ranges from working with crisis and trauma on a county level to how do we change benchmarks and standards for what does the counseling profession look like, starting nonprofit initiatives that affect marginalized communities to support with counseling. And what we heard time and time again is people who are current counselors is how can they expand their reach beyond that of their clients. So it's really beautiful to hear why people are interested in this program. And I'm sure each and every one of you as well. I'm curious what's in your heart about why this program might resonate with you. Taking a look at admission requirements for our program. So our extended deadline is March 1st, 2024. If you feel like you're in this session and you really want to apply and you're not sure that that date will work for you, still reach out. We'll see what we can do and accommodate you. But March 1st is the deadline when we'll be reviewing our applications, and then we'll set an interview date. And what the admission requirements consist of is an application, and this is done through CICAS. You'll need to upload your resume or CV, as well as a personal statement. And in that personal statement, you would address certain questions like, why do you wish to pursue a PhD in counselor education? What training or experiences do you feel have prepared you for this degree program? Then there would also be 3+ letters of recommendation, and these would be professional and academic references. So perhaps you get them from who's your supervisor or a professor or advisor or someone who has served as your manager. And then we also ask for official transcripts. And then we would have it. What would happen is you submit that, our team reviews it, and then you'll hear from us whether or not you've been selected to have an interview, which would happen virtually. And I see in the chat, there's a question of, is this interview an individual or group interview? That's a great question. In the interview day that we had last week with our first round of applicants, it was a combination. There was a group section and there was also an individual. And so for our next interview day, we'd probably do the same format, but it would just kind of depend on availability of people. But our goal with our interview day was, it's a two-way street. So not only do we get to meet you, but you would get to meet us. And what would it be like to work with this department and faculty?
And each other, right? So you're in a cohort, it's a cohort group. And so, are you able to, how well do you get along? Everyone got along really well last week. So no issues there. But it's just part of the process too. It's just to get to like sort of get to know each other as well. And there's another question. Are there a maximum amount of letter of recommendations an applicant can submit?
There's no maximum. I'm intrigued by this question. I would say most people send 3 or 4, and that gives us a great representation of someone's skills. And again, those 3 references would need to come from a supervisor, a professor, a manager relationship. The references have to be current or recent within the last 2 years. And then of the 3 references, 1 must be from a current or most recent clinical supervisor. So that might limit the number of people you send, but like I said, minimum of 3. Yeah.
And there's no need to feel like you got to send more, a bunch. As Krista said, we can get a really good read on, and it's not just our admissions process is a holistic admissions process. It's not just about one component. So, we're looking at you as a whole person. We're talking to you, interviewing you just to hear like, what are your interests? How does this program fit for you? And so again, it's kind of a holistic piece. I don't think there's any one piece that would really like, knock you out of the running. So yeah, I mean, we definitely don't need like a transcript from your mom or anything like that because, or your best friend or anything like that, because we know that they love you unconditionally, hopefully. So, yeah.
And throughout the application process, like I said, it's done through CICAS. If you hit any snags or you're confused, you're welcome to email me. My email, I'll put it in the chat and I'll put it also, it's also written on the last slide. But if there's any issues you encounter, I'm happy to touch base with you. I know sometimes having just a person to contact with can be supportive in that. So I'm happy to help you in that process.
So we always recommend if you have questions about financial aid and advising that you reach out to financial aid. You can see our estimated program cost is $82,604. There are opportunities for PAU employment. So we have some graduate assistantships, teaching assistantships, and once you go through your pedagogy training, you'll be able to be an adjunct professor in our program. We have very limited scholarships. So we know that, none of this is going to completely cover, but we think we can get you a little bit closer to that. So if you have questions about financial aid, please reach out to Dr. Amy Sykes. If you're an international student or a military person with a GI Bill or some military education benefits, if you'll reach out to Lisa Harris, she can answer all your questions about those things.
And Margaret, we have a question in the chat. What percent of tuition can the average student hope to have offset through other forms of financing besides loans, such as teaching and scholarship?
Yeah, so I think that our opportunities, I guess, our graduate assistantships are paid per hour. And some of that is that we're just hoping to compensate you for the things that you're already going to be doing for us. So, if you're co-teaching, being able to provide you a little stipend for that, this is not much to write home about, but there is some funding for that. I think where students will really be able to cover tuition is through adjunct teaching, because and we're actually leaving our summers open there's no doctoral classes in the summer, so you can really load up and teach a few classes in the summer, and that can be a way to fund the program, and then teaching a little lighter during the year. can also be another way to fund your program through adjunct teaching. So I think we pay our adjuncts pretty well. So that's a great opportunity to be able to do that, in addition to graduate and teaching assistantships. And some of you may think, well, I make more per hour working with my clients, and that's totally fine too. And we want you to be able to do that. So we are open and want to have that conversation with folks as we move forward.
I guess now we will turn the tables. My email is written here as I also put it in the chat. So if you have future questions, you're welcome to send them to me, but we'd like to open the floor now for any of you. If you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you're welcome to type it in the chat, but we'd love to hear from you any questions that you might have.
Hi, I have a question. Oh, sorry. I'll
Go
wait
ahead.
for Dennis.
Go ahead. You can go. Sorry.
Thanks, Dennis. Sorry about that. I should have raised my hand. I was curious about the 1 to 2 days of B for classes.
Mhm.
What time are classes usually scheduled on those evenings? And how far in advance would we know what those dates would be, or what day of the week it would be?
Sure. That's a great question. Really practical, right? We all have lives and we got to schedule around things. So, we really only know a year in advance, about not even a year in advance. We really only know the year before what our schedule is going to look like. We can't really promise anything out besides next year. But we know that next year we're holding classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. When it is on campus, we're really trying to make your time on campus as efficient and maximize it as much as possible. So when you have an on-campus class, we're doing all of those in one day. We're trying not to have you come up to campus twice a week, because we know some of you live further out, and some people might even live in Sacramento. And so they want to come in and just kind of knock it out all in one day. So it's kind of a full day, right? Like an 8:39 to 4, and then, or 5, I can't remember the exact schedule, but it looks like a pretty solid day. And then many of you will have the opportunity to do some teaching or supervising on campus as well. And so we've tried to plan those our classes for those days when students are on campus doing counseling skills class. So if you just did our program, counseling skills, you'd be part of the supervision for that. So you'd be able to kind of hang out, or maybe that's not your jam and you need a break. We also have counseling skills. Well, maybe we don't. I think they're all in one day. We have 2 sections of it, I know, residentially. So you might teach that at night on ground, or maybe you teach it another night online. We also have a residency in the fall and in the spring, and we are incorporating learning into that. So in the fall, there will be a residency week where all of our distance learning students come in and they do counseling skills. It's a great opportunity to learn how to supervise. And so y'all will be part of the experience of supervising students on the ground during residency week. So generally, though, speaking, your kind of week to week is going to be either a Tuesday or a Thursday, and whatever day you're not coming onto campus, if there's an online class, it'll happen on that day. And I don't know when those are exactly scheduled, but it's like a morning or an afternoon typically. And then that's it for that day. So that's about what it looks like. And again, I can't forecast beyond next year. But we're hoping to kind of get into a rhythm and kind of keep everything around the same sort of time. So that way cohorts from year to year get to know each other and you can kind of collaborate and do work together. So I hope that answered your question, Priscilla.
Yes, thank you.
Dennis.
Hello. That's pretty much was my exact same question. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad y'all are on the same page. Alec.
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you guys. I was just wondering what you're expecting the cohort size to be, and like the kind of faculty to student ratio.
Sure. So we have some flexibility in our cohort size, but it will not be much larger than 10 or 12 folks, 15 at the max. And the faculty student ratio is like a little bit of a kind of a funny like calculation. There's a like very technical way to calculate that, but I think probably what you're interested in is what it will feel like. So, you know, again, you'll be in a class with 10, likely 10 to 12 folks. So it's pretty small classes. Some of those classes are going to be co-taught, so you'll have actually 2 faculty members to get to know and learn from, which is really exciting. And then everybody will be assigned to a faculty lab. So Alec, let's say like you get assigned to a faculty lab. We're really sort of more of a project-based lab. Nobody in counseling really does research very independently, meaning like on their own. Most of our faculty are working collaboratively in groups. And so again, we really are trying to create the process, have it look like what you do in your in real life as a faculty member. And so learning to work on a team is really important, and actually like can be really challenging when you're navigating roles and responsibilities and agreements about who does what. So you'll be assigned to a faculty lab, but it'll be project based. So maybe I'm doing work with Dr. Chen around parent-child consults and the experience of that and impact on child outcomes and parent mental health, right? So she and I are working together on that. And so you may come into the lab and it might be a 2-person lab where both of us, you get to work with both of us on these projects. And then maybe we have other things going that you can kind of jump onto as it works. You'll also be assigned to a faculty advisor. So that's that person that you go to ask technical questions, talk about your professional development, say, you know, when I get out of here, I really want to be a strong researcher and a really strong educator or teacher. So I want a lot of my internship to focus and my applied practice to focus on those 2 areas. And so then you guys will work together to create what that experience looks like. And to Priscilla's question, if you are currently teaching at a university, that can absolutely serve as an internship site. So maybe you are, you know, near a community college and you're going to teach a first-year experience. We'd love for you to have that as an internship experience. Our undergraduate program is going to open up some opportunities for doc students to teach in, you know, in just sort of general psych classes and women's health classes, things like that. So you can do that. You work with that person, your advisor, to find community sites if you want to go supervise or counsel out in the community. And so there's a lot of ways to work in the work you're already doing out in the community and find new opportunities to learn within PAU as well. So I don't know if that answers your question. I think also you're going to be exposed to a lot of different faculty through a variety of activities in the program. So, you know, I don't know what our current faculty count is. It's something like 17. So we have a lot of really great folks. And also we are encouraged like sort of just organic work. Like if you're in somebody's lab, but you're like, oh, this person's doing something that I'm really interested in, like you can work with that person too. We're all think very, very open to that. So I hope that answers your question, Alec.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. That was really appreciate
yeah.
it.
You're welcome. Great question.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I guess since it sounds like this is going to be a brand new program, this is the first cohort. Do you guys already have internships set up and sites, some ideas of what those look like? And also, is there a list of all the labs and the projects
So
faculty are working on?
Great question. So the way that we're doing that is we do have sites in the community. So if you're coming into the community, we have a list of partner sites that we already work with our master's program. Those are mostly going to be counseling and supervision based. So we have places that we can plug you in to say, hey, you want to work on developing a new area of expertise in counseling. Here's a great site to connect with for that. Or you want to do some supervision. We've got a really great supervisor over here who would love to work with a doc student supervisor. So yes, we do have already sites in all over the Bay Area that we can make those connections with. And then of course we have work within the institution, right? So, maybe you are going to go do a program assessment for the CACREP committee, and they're going to, do a bunch of work figuring out what the assessments across our curriculum look like, right? That could be a leadership and advocacy project. Maybe you're going to work with a partner or do some research with faculty. That's what a research internship looks like. So that's a little bit about, and we will assist with all of that. I think you had a second part of your question that I'm
The
forgetting.
list of the labs and the projects
Oh,
faculty
yes.
are currently working on.
So we don't have that sort of formally because it would be very messy because you've got I'm working with this person and I'm working with this person and this person is working with this person over here. And now we're kind of have a whole little triangle going of our research, right? So what we're going to do is once you've been admitted to the program and you said, yes, I'm in, Krista and I will actually set up a time to talk, not interview you, but talk to you, ask about your goals. What are some things you're interested in? What is your style of working and the way of working? And then we will partner you with a person who feels, or with a project that feels like a really good fit. There may be somebody who's doing the exact research you're interested in. But if there's not, it's still a great learning experience to work in another area. Maybe you learn about some kind of research you never really even thought about before. So we'll be doing that sort of tailoring process to try to connect you with a person that feels like the best fit.
And I also heard recently our faculty say kind of the reciprocal as well, as if we have a candidate who comes in and they really want to do the research that perhaps you or a student proposes, is they might be willing to say, you know what, I've always had that on my back burner. I want to give that a try too. And so that's really cool to know as well, is that there's a lot of interest and just that kind of sense of being a colleague. I think broad strokes, just looking at what our faculty are passionate about, I feel like there's a wide range of subjects ranging from immigration to adoption, school counseling, play therapy, working with different families. There's a lot of interest in research. Am I missing anything, Margaret? I feel like they're so varied. English
They're
as a second
so
language, different kinds of native speakers, working with different people of color and focusing on that. And yeah,
it's hard because
LGBTQIA, there's a lot of affinity groups as well that are represented within the faculty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting because what you're interested in may not, again, it may not be represented in our faculty, that exact thing. There may be something close, but sometimes just the way of working together, I think, can actually be one of the most important things, that you feel like it's a good fit for your style of communication and work. Because, these are people you'll be working in and out, day in, day out with. So.
Go for it,
I have a
Dana.
question. So I like the different components that you showed, the research, leadership. Can you talk a little bit more about the counseling component? I'm a school psychologist, and have been for a long time, and I'm really interested in teaching. I also have a school counseling credential, and I did that before the school psychology. So just a little, if you could speak to the different components, maybe a little bit more, particularly the counseling component.
Sure. Yeah. So we probably have more coursework on things other than the counseling component, right? Because again, that master's level degree is solely focused on the counseling component. So
I got a ton. I'm so sorry. I got a ton.
You're okay.
I am looking for I've been assessing kids for years, right? But I am also, I was looking also for maybe something with a little bit of a clinical component too, with some piece, so it doesn't.
Yes. So I wanted to say that this is not a huge focus of the program, but it
Right.
is still an important component. So there
Okay.
is a course in the first year where you are doing work around group counseling, advanced level counseling theory and skill. And so
Okay.
what we're really looking for, and I think, again, this is where the internship opportunity to sort of tailor your experience, I think is really important because, you might have a person who's like, well, I really want to develop this advanced skill or expertise in counseling that I don't currently have. So I'm going to go
Mhm.
out and that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to do 200 hours of client work in that area because that's what I want to do. Or, the supervision piece is also part of the clinical part as well. I don't want to discount that as not being clinical because it is. And so that may be a focus of somebody's work. And we do have multiple courses in supervision. And so I think that's one way to do it. I think if you're looking for something that's solely focused on clinical work, mostly, this might not be the best fit.
Yeah. No, not solely. I mean, I would like to teach. That's
Yeah.
really what I'm thinking, which is what drew me to the
Yeah.
session. And it sounds
Yeah.
like that's what a lot of the preparation is teaching. Is that?
It is a lot of that. Yes, a lot of that component. And so again, we have that that counseling is a core area in the doctoral level. And so we do teach to that and we provide internship experience around that. So if you have somebody who's like, well, I don't have it, I'm happy with where I'm at with my counseling. I'm going to do, maybe I'll do a semester of work in the e-clinic, but mostly I want to focus on teaching and research because I want to go to a really research intensive faculty position somewhere.
Okay.
That gives the freedom for folks to have the program look a little bit different depending on what their career interests are.
Okay.
So yeah, great
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for us? These have been great. I really appreciate hearing what's percolating in all of your noggins. Okay, well then I think we'll wrap up here. Like I said, feel free to email me if you have any other questions or you're going through the application process and have any questions or want assistance with that area. March 1st is our deadline. It would be, if this program sounds like a good fit, oh boy, would we love to receive an application from you. If you start your application and say, oh, you know what, can I check back in again? Margaret and I are available to meet with you as well, because ultimately we want something that's a mutually beneficial and great fit for you and for us. Margaret, do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, thank you so much for being here. It's great to hear your questions. I echo what Krista said. It's always interesting to hear what folks are looking for. And yeah, we're happy to meet. So please reach out if you have other questions. And thanks for making time in your day to be here.
No, thank you.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Everyone.